Morning everybody, I'm on my town common about 3 miles from my house in the cemetery across the street from our Civil War monument. Notice the daylilies. But on this date, July 31 in 1790, the first patent was issued by our patent office for the making of potash, an early form of fertilizer. The word patent comes from the Latin patera, meaning to open for public inspection. So the mark of the monarch or the government was part of those early patents. So here you see a patent granted by Queen Victoria with her big seal on it. So it's publicly letting people know that you have special permission. Perhaps the first patent was issued in Venice, 1474. Here it is, Venice, big power on the Mediterranean. And eventually the other great city-states of the Italian Renaissance issued patents also. So the context is of economic competition between the cities. And often in those early centuries, patents and monopolies were basically the same thing. The idea that a patent would run out wasn't part of that original concept. But when the Industrial Revolution started picking up in the 1700s and 1800s, patent law needed to change because there were so many new inventions and so much competition between people that the medieval outlook just didn't work anymore. In 1678, for example, we passed this patent or granted this patent in Boston, but it was really an English thing because we were still Brits. And when we wrote our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 talks about securing the things for authors and inventors, so intellectual property rights based on English law. Well, in 1790, we had our first patent issued by our patent office. That's our event for today, July 31. Having to do with potash, which is part of fertilizer. When Thomas Jefferson became president in 1800, he often used faculty from the UVA to help in patent disputes or figure out things related to patent law. Abraham Lincoln got a patent in 1849 for inflatable bags, I guess you'd call them, that would be on either side of a riverboat so it would go over sandbars. And early patents demanded a working model, which were kept here at the patent office. But unfortunately, that building burned in 1877, so all those cool models went with it, or most of them did. So here's Alexander Graham Bell's patent application for the telephone, 1878. Pretty simple. He called it the speaking telephone. Here's Thomas Edison's application for the light bulb in 1882. And he called it the electric lamp, so he didn't use the word bulb. Here's Henry Ford's application in 1903. It's not called the Model T, it's simply called a motor vehicle. That's all it was, and who knew, right? In 1906, when the Wright brothers submitted their patent, they called their device simply a flying machine, so not an airplane. And when Philo Farnsworth submitted his patent for the television in 1936, he had the wordy title Method and Apparatus for Television. Here's the patent application for GPS, 1974. Notice the simple design, an arc of the Earth, and then a couple dots for satellites, and that's it. And when the iPhone application was submitted in 2008, it was simply called an electronic device. So nothing about a phone, nothing about apps or computers or anything. So speaking of computers, during World War II, we had a computer like this. The Brits had one called the Colossus. But so many people worked on it, and so much of it was top secret that no one ever got the patent for the computer. So here's the patent application for the Apple computer, 1983. But it's a cool thing, isn't it? Or a unique thing about computers. We use them all the time, but nobody has the patent for the computer.